Broads Media.
It's so nice to have the birds back, isn't it? All right, who doesn't love betting? I love making a lot of money, and I'm doing it daily because of MyBookie. As a bettor, you demand perfection, and MyBookie delivers. NFL, college football, and a brand new cash-out system gives you the options to bet and win all season long. MyBookie is the presenting sponsor here on Sports Talk with Broads. Does your first two legs of your parlay hit? Cash out early and place another bet, or let it ride for the chance at a bigger payday. Join the MyBookie family for an entire season filled with daily odds boost, same-game parlays, and super contest. This season, MyBookie has a no-strings-attached cash bonus that lets you deposit and withdraw quick. Use promo code BROADS on a deposit of $50 or more, and you can receive up to $200 in cash instantly to your MyBookie account. So bet your deposit amount once and you're ready to withdraw at any time. Again, that's promo code BROADS to claim your cash deposit bonus. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. You can click the link in the description. It'll take you there with my promo code BROADS. I love you guys all to death and enjoy the show, baby. What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. I like to call this show the day after. It's been basically 24 hours since the game has passed. We are recording this on Monday night, so we digested it over a night of sleep, and this is my consensus. The Philadelphia Eagles had way more positives than we gave them credit for when we saw the ugly offense. To see that many 3-and-outs, it's hard to even fathom when you have that much skill level. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. It is impossible to see some of the numbers that we see with pressures on Lane Johnson's side with Jordan Mailata. It's absurd what we witnessed, but ultimately, there were still a ton of positives, and I want to roll through them. I actually think it's a positive that they won the game while playing awful. You sucked. The Eagles sucked. They were not good. They were terrible. They won the football game. Now, this won't beat the best of the best when it's cold outside and it's the playoffs, but that's not the point of week one. Week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, it's basically an extension of the preseason. We live in a different era now where that first few games, you're seeing the live speed for the first time in months. Did you see how nuts week 1 was? Did you watch? Let me ask you a question. Would you buy stock that Joe Burrow is a fantastic quarterback moving forward? Do you think the Bengals will win a lot of games and be very competitive and be one of the last teams standing in the AFC? I would. Joe Burrow was putrid. They lost the game, and they lost it bad. Kansas City lost the game, and it was not gorgeous by any means. You happen to still win. You beat a 500-ish team, so a very mediocre football team where your offense was getting stopped way too easily, and you couldn't get your explosive plays off, which is what your brand is. You have so many players who played so poorly, and you still won the game against an average team in the NFL. Some teams wouldn't even be able to beat a below-average squad with that being the case. A lot, actually. I don't want to sugarcoat it here. There's a lot of teams that would fall flat on their face and start 0-1 if they played as bad as the Eagles did. And they still won. I think doing it ugly speaks volume about what's actually in that room. So that's number 1. Number 2, let's look at last season. And yes, this is a positive when you compare last year to what we witnessed, because we can't forget that throughout that journey, there were some wins that did not give you a bunch of confidence. They won 20-17 in Arizona. We already referenced week 1 against the Detroit Lions, so we already saw how that played out. We overreacted to some things, but, to be fair, Jonathan Gannon's fraudness did shine in week 1 last year, and we knew, and by the end, that's what killed you. At the same time, though, I thought the defense had a lot to build off of. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are two studs that will be wrecking the league by the duo. Like, those two are going to take the league by storm. They bring so much, and there's also such a massive emphasis on Jordan Davis and his body, and it already pays off dividends in the first game by popping the ball out, and now you have a turnover. So they created turnovers. They scored off those turnovers. That's an A+ from the defense. I think your defense will continue to kind of brand themselves, but there's too much talent. And tying this once again back to Gannon being a fraud week one, us recognizing that pretty early. Is there anything that this team will show later on and then you can dial it back to week one? Talent-wise, it can't get worse. Schematically, maybe. If Brian Johnson is that soft and he's afraid to ask his quarterback to do certain things in the passing game, then that's going to be adjusted at some point. If that is the case, right? Because it started out with Nick Sirianni being the guy who was calling plays, and then they recognized this wasn't working. We need to do something different. For some reason, Jonathan Gannon is the one taking credit for it, which is a flat-out embarrassment. But if that is something that continues, by week 5, week 6, this team won't allow for that to be so horrible. You have to score. You got to score a lot, and you're going to be in shootouts, even with the great defense. This league is made to get touchdowns, to put up numbers offensively. Those 3 and outs was actually one of the most miserable times that I could ever remember watching an offense. Come on. And by the way, I know I gave Bill Belichick a lot of crap because I don't think he's nearly the same without the best quarterback to ever live. While looking at the mediocrity of the New England Patriots, and they're a very 500-ish type of team, they also stunk and beat what the NFL deems as one of the greatest defensive minds to ever exist. And I don't know if I disagree with that. I said that, and it almost made it seem like I don't agree that he is a top-tier defensive mind. He is. It just doesn't go as far as you think it goes when you don't have the best quarterback to ever live anymore. You understand? But for them to play so down, they probably, if we're going to use a letter grade or maybe even a scale 1 to 10, as a team, maybe they played a 3.5. Is that the same as a D in the grade school system? A+, B-, C+, whatever. If I gave this team a D offensively, they still won and got into field goal territory. I'm just going to blow up every week if I have to deal with being afraid to take shots and somehow forgetting to utilize a Dallas Goedert and a DeAndre Swift. It's funny, Nick Sirianni gave us the good old coaching speak, I have my coach's back. On one side of his mouth, he says Brian Johnson did an incredible job. He did an amazing job. And then not too shortly after, he's already ripping apart the fact that it's unacceptable to not get Dallas Goedert involved and not to get him targeted or for him to be targeted so little. It's ridiculous. And similar to DeAndre Swift, this type of stuff can't happen. Well, then how did he do amazing if you're already destroying what he did? Seconds later. Not even breaths later. He's talking out of both sides of his mouth, although I'm not shocked because, of course, Nick Sirianni is going to praise Brian Johnson. And Brian Johnson is better than this. He just is. I know that he is. There's no way that you can live with that and truly be as highlighted as he's been. He's a coach that we've been watching through the ranks. Hey, one day he'll probably snag that gig. Shane Steichen is here. He's got a fantastic finger on the pulse. He knows how to call a game, and there is an art to it. He has absolutely mastered the art. One day, Brian Johnson will be in those shoes. We saw what he did in Florida. We watched his career. That's not it, dude. That's not it. You wouldn't be as high on a dude that's giving you 3rd and 9 screens and 3rd and 10 runs and being okay with punting the football back. And don't get me started on what happened before half, because the more and more I process it, it makes me sick. You can't give up. This league is based off of what we watched when the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, faced the Kansas City Chiefs in one of the most epic playoff games ever in the history of the league. How quickly did Pat Mahomes go down there? You need to have that killer mentality. That has to be your identity as an offense. If teams don't fear you then you're not good enough. That's just what it is. You need to be afraid at all times that someone's going to do something crazy. And there's so many playmakers. Go get the ball in their hands and let's make it happen. 30 seconds to go, 24 seconds, 27 seconds, 2 timeouts, whatever the scenario is. I want the defensive coordinator shitting his pants because he knows that Jalen Hurts, with the flick of the wrist, can bring it 40, 50 yards downfield, and now the whole entire field is flipped. A.J. Brown doesn't bobble it for half a millisecond. They can't go to the stupid replay booth and take away what would have been a crazy play, and now you're in a completely different position. That's what it takes to outduel the best teams in this league, and right now we're fortunate that the NFC is not as stacked with quarterback talent the way the AFC is, but I don't know if that's going to be the case forever. At some point, someone else arrives. There's always new additions every single draft. So you got to pounce when the opportunity is golden. And, it's just something that needs to happen. Anyway, I wanted to talk about some of the games. What was that, 6 minutes ago? 5 minutes ago? I have no idea how long ago it was that I brought up the 20-17 win in Arizona. But that wasn't a great game. In Indianapolis last season, they won 17-16. And remember, Jalen Hurts went on a drive to save the day, and it wasn't a good game at all as a team. But I love the fact that your quarterback, with the game on the line, and when the team needed a drive, he was so stellar, and that's a trait that your quarterback needs to have. And I want to pull up the drive. 17-16. Oh, it was terrible. 1 minute and 20 seconds left in the game. Jalen Hurts with a 7-yard touchdown run to go up 17-16. They were down 16-10 when the Colts hit a field goal with 4.5 minutes to go. And if you want the play-by-play, damn it, I will give you the play-by-play. Here's your touchdown drive. In shotgun, Jalen Hurts, incomplete pass to the right side. Okay. Then 2nd and 10 at the Philly 25. Jalen Hurts hits A.J. Brown for an 8-yard gain. Then Jalen Hurts, 3rd and 2, incomplete pass to Miles Sanders, but there was a penalty on the Colts, which was 39 yards, a pass interference play. We're moving the chains, and now you're looking at the 1st and 10 mark at Indianapolis 28. Miles Sanders up the middle for 6. It's 2nd and 4 on the Indianapolis 22. Sanders up the middle. Boston Scott goes to the right. Boston Scott goes to the left. All right, it's 3rd and 4. What are you going to do? Jalen Hurts. I read this wrong. This was a dumb idea. I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. I don't know how to follow this anymore. All I know is that 3rd and goal on the 7, Jalen Hurts, 7-yard rush, and boom, boom. But they were atrocious. Did that stop you from believing when they faced the Chiefs and were up at halftime in the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. These are all positives to stress that this team is just fine, and I hope that everybody's feeling better today. They won 25-20 in Chicago. That was the game, though, that Jalen Hurts took the hit. And remember, wasn't the weather really awful that day, too? It was crazy. But that game, even against the Houston Texans, there's multiple examples of last season it not being perfection, and it's not going to happen week 1. It's naive to think here's 2 new coordinators in 2 new roles. Here's some new faces, especially on the defense, and unfortunately we got some bad news. Nakobe Dean's going to be out there projecting around the month. Good news is Fletcher Cox seems to be okay. But you're dealing with that, and James Bradbury's in concussion protocol. So with the short week, who's going to play on the outside of Darius Slay? Is Josh Jobe going to step right in and be a flat-out stud? I don't know, or at least hold his own. Here's the injury report for what would have been a practice. Reed Blankenship did not practice with ribs. James Bradbury, concussion. Fletcher Cox, ribs. I think we're getting the thumbs up on the Cox department, though. That's the weirdest sentence I've ever said. Nakobe Dean is out with the foot, and then Kenny Gainwell with the ribs, too. Did not practice. Once again, that's if they were actually going out there and competing for a real practice. That's scary. And for linebacker-wise, they went out and they brought in a veteran, signed him to the practice squad. Evans has a ton of starts in his career, and you're definitely makeshifting things. Also, though, you can win up front. Your trenches can destroy the Minnesota Vikings. I don't want to jump too far ahead to that matchup. This week is throwing me off a tad. Plus, you have the doubleheader with the Phillies. It's been a weird dynamic to start because they won, but it felt like a loss, and there's not much time to really sit into it because you're right back at it. And then remember, you also have a Monday Night Football game coming up, so it throws me out of whack. Some other things that are important to note on the positive front. Jake Elliott. How many times has a team been screwed because they missed kicks? And also, speaking of Jake Elliott, the year they won the Super Bowl, I also want everybody to realize that they were 1-1, and then here comes the New York Giants, and you barely win. You barely win with a huge 60-plus yard field goal from Jake Elliott. That team didn't take off until after that. So there was a few games, it took 3 games or so, and they were 1-1 after 2 weeks. And then because of a field goal, and you still have that guy, and that guy is still hitting some clutch spots for you and putting the ball through the uprights, I just don't want to lose sight of that. And I know it kind of sounds like this is how it's going to be year in and year out for the first week of every season. You got to remember that as I look to the left, the Phillies had a 4-0 lead, and now it's 4-3. The Braves are creeping back into it. I swear to you, I can't stand it. I got it on in my office here. My hands are starting to curl, and so are my toes. This team's going to drive me nuts. Are the Eagles going to drive me nuts? I don't know. Look, I'm not telling you that this is a massive, massive, massive win in regards to what I'm about to say, not what happened on the scoreboard. Quez Watkins had a couple of decent catches. Quez's role is to definitely stretch the field, so he can't drop the big ones. He can't drop the long home run hits. That's what he needs to do. But if he can incorporate being a reliable receiver who can catch the ball when the ball's thrown to him, 5 yards, 6 yards, 7-yard gain, whatever it is. He had a couple of those, and for whatever it's worth, he was not in a good mental state last year. He was dropping passes that will get you cut in this league, and that cannot be real. If that's Quez Watkins, he won't have a job. It wasn't high-pressured spots. It wasn't game-on-the-line stuff. But Quez is also a third option in the wide receiving core. He's a, fourth option, maybe even a fifth option, depending on who the running back is out there, because you have your 2 wide receivers, Dallas Goedert, maybe a running back too, and Jalen Hurts. Then it's Quez Watkins. Well, if that's the case, just catch the ball when the ball is thrown. That's what you need to do on top of can't drop the home run hits. And for this purpose of mentioning it, he's got step 1 complete. Step 2, can he do what he failed to do last season? I'm sure he'll get some shots soon. And before we start taking anytime hotline calls, I want to highlight again that Jalen Hurts fumbling that football is strictly on Jalen Hurts fumbling that football. I want it to be known. If you blame Brian Johnson for calling a keeper, and if you think the offensive minds and the strategy was why that specific play happened, you're letting Jalen Hurts off the hook. Jalen Hurts knows damn well that that wasn't his A-plus game. That's why his comments post-game saying, we won, right? We won. We won. That's what we're trying to do. We won. We won. That's because he understands that he played very poorly. They still won. Let's move on. Right? He's not soaking in it. He knows this wasn't good. We won. Let's move on. Jalen Hurts played at an MVP pace. He's that level of stud. I hold him to that standard. If Aaron Rodgers had that game, not good enough. If Tom Brady had that game, not good enough. It's not good enough. I'm not going to deflect what the issue was on the fumble. Jalen Hurts can't take that hit. He's planted that foot and completely annihilated a defender multiple times using that. Either execute better or slide before you get popped. You don't see him get hit like that. That was out of the ordinary. I was stunned to see the ball fly out and him walk back to the sidelines knowing I screwed up. Now, it's nice to see his team step up for the quarterback, and you know that they're going to do everything for that man. He doesn't take shots like that, though. That was more of a, whoa, hold on a second. What just happened? Come on. Good thing we're not we're not Giants fans, right? Oh, my Lord. Is that not funny? The Cowboys aren't that good. That's more of a product of the Giants being unprepared. Anyway, anytime hotline, let's kick it.
Well, Broads, it wasn't pretty, but our Eagles got the victory. I'm very happy about that. It could be way worse, especially looking at this Giants game. My God, they're getting their asses kicked right now. But anyways, very, very sloppy win. The fact that we won this game is honestly surprising to me because I really thought that we were going to lose later in the game, especially when we went forward on 4th and 2 and then didn't get it. Brian Johnson needs to be better. Jalen Hurts needs to be better. I thought the play calling was awful. Offensively was awful. Like it was really bad. It was hard to watch. Get Dallas Goedert involved in the game. DeAndre Swift, where was DeAndre Swift too? I mean, you got to get these guys involved in the game. Dallas Goedert and DeAndre Swift. You acquired DeAndre Swift for a reason. And there's no way that you cannot say that Dallas Goedert is not a top 5 tight end in football right now. He needs to get involved. They need to get involved. And Jalen Hurts, you can make an argument that this was one of his worst games as a pro with the fumble and stuff like that, which was awful. But hey, we won the game. We won the game. And by the way, before I hang up the phone, Jalen Carter, my God, he was popping off the screen the entire game.
Yes, he was. Oh, he was good. There's multiple things that I want to bring up that you just pointed at. So I'm going to jot them down because knowing me, I'll probably forget. It was Jalen Carter, it was 4th and 2, and it was Jalen Hurts. Okay, let's start with Jalen Carter. You're so damn right. This guy is crazy. All the hurries. This is game 1. Wait until he gets more established and even feasts off the knowledge. He's so raw. All right, he's got so much natural ability. Wait till he starts landing the details. Wait till the emphasis on that area starts to sharpen. Oh my God, the tools will be sharpened even more. And wow, Aaron Donald, that level of destruction, that level of taking over and abusing every single 300-foot man that thinks they are going to stand in his way, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's impossible. It won't happen. You are toast. That's the message to the entire league. Look at all those hurries in game 1. That doesn't add up. That's not a thing. So we are in store, or get ready to see what's in store for Jalen Carter, the magician, if you will. The 4th and 2 sucked. The more and more you think about the 4th and 2, that's disgraceful. Now, Bill Belichick maybe made some decisions. Should he have kicked the field goal? Should they have went for it? They went for it on 4th earlier in the same exact drive. So if they got closer to the end zone, why wouldn't they? I got no problem if this team wants to play a style where they let Jalen Hurts, you ride or die with him. Either you win because of his greatness or you fail because they couldn't execute. Whatever it is, if that's what you do and that's what you believe in, fine. But when it's all over the place, it's mixed match, it's sometimes you feel great, sometimes it's no, and when it's fine. You don't have to be uber aggressive 100% every single time. Yes, it's circumstantial based off of where you are, what the score is, how much time is on the clock. Oh, man, dude. They're flip-flopped right now, though. That 4th and 2 was so dumb. It was so dumb. And speaking of Bill Belichick, I haven't mentioned his name in a long time, actually, but dating back to maybe 18 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, I heard that Bill Belichick was asked a question during the media time, and he said there was about 6 minutes to go during one of the drives. They didn't know if they'd get back in that time, or get back with how much time was left on the clock down that side of the field. First off, even if it was 6 minutes, you don't trust your offense with 6 minutes on the clock to get back downfield? 6 minutes? Ooh, what does that say about Mac Jones and that offense? That's pretty scary to hear from your head coach. And number two, apparently there was 9 minutes to go. So he didn't even have the answers. He didn't know time and place on the field. 10 plays, 58 yards, 3 minutes and 49 seconds. There was 9 minutes and 32 seconds to go, and he was discussing it as if there were 6 minutes left. That's bad. Now, Bill Belichick has a long leash, obviously. Maybe it's not as long as we all think it is, but his resume speaks for itself. Dude, unless there was a miscommunication between the media member and Bill, but now that I look at it, there's no other drive that would have made sense for the 6 minute mark. It was strictly the 9 minute mark. So I don't know if you saw the 6 upside down, which could be a nice Drake lyric. 6 upside down, it's a 9 now. Isn't that on Views? The song called 9? You're damn right it is. There was a drive that ended at the 3:37 mark. That was at the Philly 11. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Sucks to not be paying attention on the sidelines there, Bill.
Bros, big win on the road today for the Eagles. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't sexy, but it was efficient. They looked good. Some mistakes need to be curbed. That'll happen in time. But when you go on the road, you got Tom Brady there ringing the bell, and you go on the road in bad weather and win that first game against the Patriots with solid defense, big win for the Eagles. Huge win.
I like the optimism. The only thing I'll disagree on is you saying it was efficient. I wouldn't say that this was efficient. You were going 3 and out in multiple drives in a row. I liked the first drive. I wish they opened the playbook up more off of what they were establishing. They never could. I wouldn't call it efficient. I'd say it was choppy, if anything else. But even through the choppiness, you nailed it. You went on the road, and a lot of these games that I mentioned from last year, winning in Arizona, winning in Indianapolis, winning in Chicago, winning in Houston, 29-17. I don't think that score reflects the way it felt watching the game. Road. You're going to New England when they're praising Tom Brady. You don't think that environment's popping? You're damn right it is. And you hit him with the jugular early. You had a hard time adjusting, though, after some of the scripted plays, and Bill Belichick showed you. It took away some of your options, but if they took away Devontae or if they took away A.J. Brown, that was Goddard, bro. Oh, I didn't bring it up, and I wrote it down and said that I'm probably going to forget, and I went to a different call, and I'm pissed at myself. Jalen Hurts, he is allowed to be criticized. I'm one of the biggest supporters. I don't buy jerseys. I bought a Kelly Green Jalen Hurts jersey, all right? So I'm in on the guy. I literally love Jalen Hurts. If he plays bad, he plays bad. I can hold him accountable. He played bad. If you want to win a Super Bowl, there's no reason to deflect what was. We can't change the standard to something lower than great. MVP level quarterback. That's the bar that he provided, and he wouldn't want it to be any other way. You think he gives a damn if we criticize him? Absolutely not. He might even use that and feed off of it with momentum. I don't know. He might eat it. I don't care what he does with it. But he would like for us to keep it 100. I'm keeping it 100. He played awful. And you still won the game. He still got you in field goal position when needed. Massive. Clean it up for Thursday. What's next? Take one more.
Bro, I don't know what I just watched, man. That didn't feel real. That was the ugliest win I've ever seen. There are so many adjustments that need to be made. Brian Johnson just looks completely overmatched, and he coached scared today. The defense made some big plays when they needed them to, but overall, like, they did leave up a ton of yardage and a lot of guys over in the middle. But yeah, a lot of adjustments need to be made. They said,
do you expect them to make the adjustments, though? I do. I'm not ruling them out at all. I know week 1 is funky, and we'll have a totally different view on this team week 4, week 5, because they'll pull their head out of their ass. There's really no other way that they can go about this. You better. You better. And Nick Sirianni's too smart to let something like this continue. Trust me, he'll get in your face. He'll scream at you. You won't be able to get by with this mess and this slop. He's going to be screaming at your damn face. You saw the way that he gets after it in training camp, and when you're not doing your job, he lets you know. Well, if this goes on for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something's done about it. You have someone in control who doesn't accept that. And I have faith in Nick Sirianni to get this on track. Got a short week coming up. He's a smart guy, Nick. Let's see it. All right, so that's where I am today, 24 hours after. I appreciate you guys. You're the best. I love you. We'll be talking soon.